Hey there, comic book friends, I'm Travis. It's time for an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. How's it going, everybody? Lots of stuff happening, oh boy, right? So, Marvel shakes up the world with some announcements this week, causing rage and confusion amongst fans and fanboys everywhere. Fangirls, whatever. Marvel zombies, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Fans, right? So we're going to talk some about that. Want to know about that? I'm glancing over the list because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't particularly want to miss something because then I'll be irritated by myself after the fact, because then I'll forget it the next month or the next time I do one of these and it won't matter. So, yeah, anyway, let's see. So, we're learning more about DC's convergence. Let's start there, shall we? Learning more about DC's convergence. Sounds like what it's going to be is all these worlds get gathered, these universes get gathered up, universes that basically that DC isn't doing anything with, and they're going to have to, there's going to be a big fight, and if you don't win the fight, your universe goes poof. It's kind of what the main convergence story sounds like. I was kind of interested in getting it, thought it might be kind of cool. Now I'm going, because I saw the price tag is $3.99. It's a weekly book. I'm having problems stomaching the $3.99 Wolverine weekly book, so I'm not too sure about getting another weekly book that's $4 a book. So I don't know, because I was really thinking about possibly getting it just for kicks and giggles. Eyeballing some of those 2-issue minis that are coming out. Maybe I won't get as many of those either because I see they're all $3.99 also. So I'm not very happy with DC to be giving us kind of a what-if project with a fairly high level of uncertainty in a lot of the creators that are working some of the books. Now, some of the books, like the Teen Titans book, clearly there's no issue with paying my $4 for that. It's Marv Wolfman and Nicola Scott doing that book, so that's going to be, you know, I'm not concerned about getting a quality book for the price I'm paying for it. But some of those others, start getting a bunch of those, it's going to start getting spendy, as opposed to, you know, all my main books are gone for, you know, during that time period and maybe saving some money. So haven't quite completely decided that yet. So I don't know. We'll have to be making some decisions soon, clearly, because not that very long before I, in particular, will have to be ordering those issues if I'm wanting them. So, that. Anyway, that being said, so plot seems to be something along the lines of, you know, battle to save your universe. That leads us into Secret Wars. And, the potential scary thing that might come out of Secret Wars, which I have talked about in the past. Maybe it's been a year now. It's at least been 6 months, maybe 8 months, when, when Marvel first kind of floated the whole Secret Wars thing, that we kind of mumbled something about there being some sort of a reboot. Lots of people got up in arms. I'm done. You know, you reboot. I'm not gonna touch Marvel books. Whatever. Anyway, so Secret Wars is gonna be the 616 universe and Marvel's Ultimate Universe. 616 is the main universe. Are going to be smashed together in some battle, and you know, winner take all kind of a thing. And once it's all said and done, the Marvel Universe will not be the same. And that was announced, what, a day ago? 2 days ago at most. And I've already been seeing on Twitter and hearing that there are fans who have hit their local comic book store and have canceled all their Marvel books. Because if you're going to do a reboot, forget it. I'm not touching Marvel ever again. You know, bold statements. I have to say, when the New 52 first started out, heard all these bold statements too. You know, some people have stuck to them. You know, some of us haven't. I never made the crazy bold statement like that. I was concerned, but I want to see what's going forward. And I really think that if you're hearing this for the first time from me, or you've been thinking about it, you're pissed off or whatever, let it ride now. You know, continue to collect your books, continue to enjoy what you're enjoying, and see what comes out of the other end of this. Is it a reboot? I don't know. What qualifies as a reboot? I was talking a little bit on Twitter today, and now I'm starting to wonder, what do you consider a reboot? Because technically, So like in the case of the New 52, DC's New 52, had the old universe, everything, all the minutia and massive amount of continuity and the age of all of the comics, all of that was there. Then they had an event called the Flashpoint, and as we came out the other end of Flashpoint, really a new universe was made, or an alternate universe is where we all landed at. This New 52 universe, where things are younger, newer, fresher, and not as many things have happened to these characters yet. We're going to get to experience and explore the entire DC universe from anew to a large degree. Some of the stuff was there, and you either can kind of accept that and just kind of go with what was coming out and see what the experience was going to be, or of course you could buck it and fight it and not have books to read, which is fine too. You know, we all call that a reboot because, of course, the characters are all starting over again from new. So is the Marvel thing going to be a reboot? I'm assuming that all that history is still there, everything that was happening, and you know what? In the DC universe, all that stuff's still there too. It's all still there. You can go back and mine the, you know, hundreds and hundreds of issues of Batman, Action Comics, Detective Comics, and all that other wonderful stuff that's there. It's still there. That universe, all that stuff that happened, it still happened there. You know, so it's not like it's gone. I guess it's your choosing as to how you want to view all of that's there. And Marvel's going to basically be the same way in some sense. I'm assuming when they say these two universes are going to smash together, what they're doing is they're trying to figure out a decent way to get the quality stuff that I think is floundering and lingering over in the Ultimates into the regular universe, is what they're hoping to do. You know, they can use this opportunity to weed out some of the stuff they don't like in a dramatic fashion from an event standpoint. They'll get Miles Morales, which is their big moneymaker, the thing most people are excited about in the Ultimate Universe. Anytime I hear anybody ever talk about the Ultimate Universe, that's the big one. They'll have a way to get him into the current universe in some fashion, or whatever the universe ends up being afterwards. But certainly, even if this all starts anew and it's all relatively fresh, like the DC reboot was, all that's still there. It's still all happened. It's not like it's gone and never existed. It still all happened in some sense, unless, of course, you know, somebody slips in the shower, hits their head, and wakes up, and it was all a dream. Then maybe it didn't happen. But I wouldn't get too crazy pants about, you know, about this whole possibility of there being some sort of a reboot. Because I mean, what is a reboot at this point? Not sure. To me, personally, it feels like Marvel's always in a constant state of rebooting their books. Maybe not the characters, but certainly the books. You know, we're renumbering constantly all the time now, and shifting teams and shifting teams' makeups. And every time they shift a team or a team's makeup, instead of it maybe necessarily feeling, at least for me, really organic and just part of what's going on. You know, back in the day, the Avengers lineup over time changed who was in it and who wasn't in it, kind of a thing. Now, if the lineup changes, they start a whole new number one, it seems. But still, so you could consider that a book reboot, if not a universe reboot. And I don't know if the universe is going to be reboot, as in we're starting over again. But clearly, everybody's stated. Even you can go see, go on Twitter and see Brian Michael Bendis on late television, even kind of talking about Secret Wars, though he doesn't say a whole lot about it, quite frankly. But just that the fan base is concerned. But it's not like all that stuff's not going to happen. Captain America still experienced everything he experienced. Spider-Man still experienced everything he experienced. It's just, it's going to be potentially a whole new thing once this all gets mashed together. How things used to operate may be completely different. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Change is cool, to some degree. And clearly it's comic books. If you look at the long history of comic books, usually most character changes aren't so radical and fundamental that at some point they don't start to gravitate back towards what seems to be the core of what the character has always been, even if it's some radical change at some point. It slowly starts to move itself back back to that if it was a good thing. And hopefully it shucks the bad stuff. So yeah, I mean, you can see that with some of the DC comics as time has gone on, as we've rolled past the third year mark of their reboot. Lots of the characters that they could have had all the world to explore completely new things with, a lot of those characters have moved back. They're attempting to move them back into more familiar territory of what those characters used to be, or at least mining the ideas that people were excited about back in those days. So I'm just saying from a long time comic book reading experience, and not to say they don't get caught up in the excitement or the panic or the screw 'em all attitude, because they do when it's comics that are more near and dear to me, to kind of write it out, see what's going to happen, see what's going to be there and whatnot. But also, I'm not saying that you don't have the right to feel concern or whatever, or be upset or think, screw it, I'm not going to read any more of these comic books because they're doing this. All legitimate feelings. I'm just saying, before you pull a trigger on it, you give some time, maybe see what it's going to really be like and whatnot. It could be cool. It could be exciting out the other side of it. Me personally, I'm not going to get the whole Secret Wars thing. I can't imagine doing that. I have not enjoyed a Marvel event book in an extremely long time. To be quite honest, I haven't enjoyed a DC event book in an extremely long time either. Well, there might be some interesting spin-offs out of some of that stuff anyway. So, really, Secret Wars and Convergence sound an awful lot like the exact same plot. Really kind of curious. Secret Wars also, from a more DC standpoint that I view through in my over the years, though my early comic collecting was all Marvel and zero DC, it feels very much like Secret Wars potentially is really Crisis, Infinite Earths, the original event book. It's a redoing of that, is what they're doing. They're redoing a DC book. They're taking all the universes and mashing them into one, which is what that book did. And so yeah, could be cool. I mean, the upside is, chances are, if you like Miles Morales, which a lot of people seem to, the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man, he'll have more opportunity to be in more places and be in more books and that sort of thing. So I think that's an exciting thing, because that's a great character, clearly a character that Marvel would like to exploit more. He's a multicultural young hero, so that is multicultural, multiracial character. So that's all a positive, as a lot of us need to continue to push forward with there needing to be more diversity and whatnot. My assumptions is some things like, Ms. Marvel is a relatively safe book. It may renumber out of this whole thing, but I'm assuming that it's relatively safe in that with the sales that it has and whatnot. I think that there's a chunk of Marvel that is hopefully wisely seen that's potentially a future for our company. So we're going to hang on to those kinds of things, and maybe push out some of the good old boy stuff, which I guess could be a threat to some of the fan base. But we'll ultimately see what it is, right? Summer could be interesting, could be exciting to see what that all ends up being like. But I wouldn't get too excited yet. As much as in the past, if you see my videos in the past, where I joked about how I would laugh if Marvel does a reboot, just to see all the Marvel fans squirm as they got to watch us squirm, those of us that were DC fans. I laugh in jest, and I laugh and boy, I feel your pain. I laugh because also that's just how I deal with stressful things sometimes. So, yeah, let's take a ride and see where it goes. You know what? If out of this Convergence thing, DC decided they were going to reboot everything again, I'd probably be okay with that, especially if they were going to change some of the stuff that's been, to something different again, not go backwards. I don't think there's any reason to truly go backwards. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've talked long enough about that, because I know I'm talking in circles. Let's see what other news is coming out. Milestone is going to start back up again. that's kind of exciting news. Some of you probably don't know what Milestone is. Maybe you're familiar with the character Static Shock. He's probably the most recognizable character that's from Milestones. Milestone was owned by Dwayne McDuffie, who passed away a few years ago after heart surgery. He and some of his friends got together. They created a universe that was more representative of them being African American creators. And so they created a bunch of characters, a good chunk of them African American, and other races to promote superheroes that were a more diverse thing out there. And Static Shock's most popular. Static Shock cartoon for quite a while. DC, I thought, bought the rights, but I guess what they did was they bought the rights to use the characters for a certain period of time. It sounds to me like those rights are up. So there's a group of people who are going to take those characters back and start using them again. Hopefully they respect Dwayne McDuffie's his beliefs and his ideals on those characters, and I think it could be exciting. It could be an exciting alternative if you're looking for superhero comics. You're looking for a more diverse base of superheroes that look like a larger sampling of the world, or at least the United States. This might be an avenue for you if you're tired of the big two and what they're producing. So kind of excited about that. Excited to see things like I said, Static Shock's always been a great character. This last run that DC did when the New 52 started was not a real great run. There was a lot of creator conflicts and editor conflicts, and it really very quickly showed in the book, unfortunately. But still a really great character, really interesting character, Virgil is. There's also like the Shadow Cabinet. It's got a really interesting mix of characters. Some characters who seem clearly like Icon, clearly like a somewhat of a knockoff of like Superman, and then there's some characters in there that are just completely different than anything else that's out there, really. So that should be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Don't know how soon that stuff will come out. There's not a lot of information on it yet, but yeah, that could be very exciting. Let's see what else is going on. I think as far as newsy type things, that's the big ones that I wanted to talk about. This weekend, of course, there'll be the Comic Book Roundtable. It's normal time on Saturday, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. I don't know, in between or around that or whatever. Our usual thing. Hope I can get some of you guys to come on, talk some comics with me. I think this is my biggest Marvel week as far as that kind of stuff goes. So I'll clearly be talking Magneto, be talking Deadpool. Yes, I'll be talking Deadpool. What else is in that? I don't remember what else. I know I got a couple other Marvel books. I think Loki, Agent of Asgard comes out also. Excited for that book. And of course, the Wolverines, I'm sure, and Batman Eternal and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll be doing that. Also on Saturday, I will be over on Matt, Wednesday's Serial Channel. If you're not subscribed to Matt, go subscribe to Matt. Check him out. Hopefully I'll have a link down below. But Saturday at around 11 o'clock Pacific time, that would be 12 noon for you strange people who live in Mountain Time. And for everybody on the East Coast, that would be, what, 2 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon. I will be on there, on his channel. We'll be doing a book club sort of a thing. We'll all be talking about God Loves, Man Kills, classic Claremont story from 1982. So yeah, we'll be talking that book in I'm assuming great detail. Matt's, if you've ever watched Matt on video, he has a way of really digging into things. So we'll get some interesting conversation going there. I'm sure. I'm still rereading mine. It's probably been 15 years since I've read God Loves, Man Kills, so I'm rereading it this week, so I'm prepared, doing my homework. Excited to do that. There's going to be a bunch of us on there, I believe. It's not like it's going to be just me and Matt whole bunch of people on there, I think, talking, 3 or 4 of us at least, whole bunch, yeah. Talking about that, so excited to be doing that. Let's see, what else? Oh, I'll talk about this. Actually finished this a couple weeks ago. This is Harlan Ellison's 7 Against Chaos. It is a graphic novel, officially a graphic novel, written for to be a all-one encompassing thing, as opposed to a trade, which is a collection of a run of books put together in a more of a deluxe type format. So probably before I talked about this, I should have looked up something about it, because I'm really curious. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Harlan Ellison. Harlan Ellison has written sci-fi for a very long time. He has written lots of great short stories and books, some of which are amazing, and I think are some of the bedrock of a lot of science fiction and whatnot. He wrote, I believe he wrote the pilots for the original Star Trek series, for Ray Bradbury. So he's of that era, of the 60s and stuff like that, as far as science fiction goes and stuff. Still working, to the best of my knowledge, in some sense or another, even though he's really getting up there in the years. But what I should have done is I should have checked to make sure that this story wasn't something he had written in the past. But this is something that was new. This was published in 2013. Let me double check here just to make sure. Yes, 2013 is when the copyright is. May of 2014 is the first printing of this. So, because the reason I want to say that is because this feels very throwback in a way. The story itself, the way it's written, the way it addresses stuff, it has a very, and this is a horrible way of describing it for anybody who hasn't read a lot of 1970s comics and stuff like that, and sci-fi comics. It has a very throwback feel to something from the 70s. And not in a dumb, corny kind of way. You know, that we know some of our old books, if you go back and read some really old books, they can be kind of cheesy in a sense. Not in that sense, but just the way that it delivers the information that it delivers. And the art is by Paul Chadwick. And even the art has a very Silver Age kind of a feel to it. I liked the story. I thought it was very interesting. It's basically what it is something is happening to Earth, and a mystery man gathers up 7 other agents gathered across the solar system, and gathers them up to basically save the world, because history is being rewritten from a prehistoric time by somebody, and they need to stop it. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, but it was very old school. It was really odd, and I finished it a couple weeks ago, and I've kind of put off really talking about it a whole lot because I wasn't sure exactly how to describe it, because it feels to me that it's not a good description to say, that it's got a Silver Age feel to it if you really aren't familiar with those types of books. And I know a lot of the people watching this might not be familiar with that style of book, but it's kind of a classic isn't necessarily what I want to use either for it. But it really has an old school traditional feel to it. It's odd in the sense that a lot of the energy of the book is spent gathering up these agents, and very little time is actually spent dealing with the situation that they have to deal with, which made for kind of an odd way of telling the story, in that lots of build up and gathering of your adventurers to go on the adventure, and then the adventure's over in a very brief time. It certainly seemed. So, but like I said, I still enjoyed it. It was fun to read. I'm glad I got it. Yeah. Have any questions about it? Let me know. I don't know what else to say about it without giving it away. I don't want to really give the plot away. So, let's see. What else do I got? Oh yes. A new thing. I had somebody write into me, and here in a second I'm going to give you an address. If you want to write in, you write into me, ask me a question or whatever. You certainly can. Outside of the comments here. But thought I'd open this up to everybody else and let you listen to. I'm reading email off my phone here because that's how I get mail these days. Basically it says, "Dear Oddfellows Thoughts, yesterday at work, I really need to get things done. Remembering Superman and Wonder Woman's conversation about alter egos, I decided I needed a disguise. I put on a pair of glasses and went to work. When I got there, all of my coworkers still knew me and called me by name. How is this possible? Please explain. Signed, Confused and Incognito in Cleveland." Well, Incognito and Confused in Cleveland? What kind of glasses were you wearing? See, if they weren't the tortoise-shelled, black-rimmed style type glasses, it may have not have disguised you well enough. That's the only reason I can think of that would make it to where that type of a disguise wouldn't work. Because clearly it works for Wonder Woman and Superman in issue number 15 of the second volume of Justice League. So that's my thought there. Anyway, if you have a question that you would like to ask me in the Dear Abby-esque type format, the Dear Oddfellows Thoughts, you can send your questions to me, or any advice or help that you might need at oddfellowsthoughts@gmail.com, and I'll get right on answering those in the next couple weeks for you. So, and with that, I am done for the week. Hope everybody is having a good comicking time, and I will see you on the weekend and then next week, I'm sure. Have a great one, everybody.